Welcome back to Coast U. Always enjoy the first segments on Fridays, and now it's time to shift gears. I want to invite my friend Cynthia Sutton, who's the executive director for the Ocean Springs Chamber, into the conversation. They just had the Peter Anderson Festival. We're going to get an update on that. We got Black Friday coming. As I've always done here on Coast U this time of year, there's a great focus on shopping local and all that. But anyway, it's a pleasure to have Cynthia back on Coast U. How you doing, Cynthia?
Good. Finally recouped, I would say.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, you go back and look. Peter Anderson Festival is a pinnacle moment for Ocean Springs. But let's face it, Ocean Springs, almost every day is a pinnacle moment. Every weekend's a pinnacle moment. There's always this pulse of activity because of the shops there, because of the incredible restaurants there, the incredible number of restaurants there, because so many people just like to come there and park and walk around. It's a great community. But the Peter Anderson Festival is truly, if you got to define a pinnacle moment, that is it. And it's gone through a lot of changes over the years. It was sort of one thing prior to COVID. During COVID, you made a lot of adjustments. Some of the things you learned about Peter Anderson during those adjustments during COVID, you actually began to embody those into the festival going forward. But looking back on this festival, how did it go?
Despite the rain, it actually went really, really well. I would say Sunday's numbers actually made up for Saturday's numbers. So in the vendors and in the attendance. So it was actually really cool to see that. So our donations, our entrance folks, and all of our vendors made up on Sunday. So that was really cool. I think people were kind of expecting that. A lot of people called us and were like, are you going to cancel on Saturday? Are you going to cancel on Saturday? We made it to almost 2 o'clock without the rain. And all the vendors, when they were checking in on Friday, they're like, this is what we do. Rain or shine, all over the U.S. This is what we do. They were so prepared. Some had tarps, clear tarps, over their booths so people could still see and shop on Saturday. So it was definitely once in every few years kind of event with the rain, but it turned out really well.
Well, Cynthia, it's interesting. You go back and we had unparalleled warm weather for such a long period of time. And frankly, some of that warm weather was because this high was sitting on top of us. It actually protected us from hurricanes. And that's a really good thing. But right. You knew that seasonal weather pattern was going to come back. You just knew that it was, where the fronts start to pass through and starts to get a little cooler like it is now. And it, unfortunately, you're kind of used to that, though. I mean, you've had right. a string of incredible weather weekends for the Peter Anderson Festival, but you've had to deal with rain from time to time. You guys are, you right. roll with the punches, don't you?
Right. I mean, most of the events that we put on, Peter Anderson, of course, is the largest, but most of the events that we put on for the city are rain or shine events. So, it's kind of hard to work with those sometimes, but once you do it for so many years, we're all just like, we all got our raincoats. Everybody that came out and helped had their raincoats in the cars, in the golf carts. Everybody was ready. So it was really cool to see the team that actually stayed there all day on Saturday and helped us. I don't think a single volunteer didn't show up on Saturday. I think they all
Isn't that awesome? It's so awesome. And in fact, we'll remind people what it takes to pull off an event like that. Tremendous commitment from businesses, volunteers, the yep. city, the chamber, its representatives, its partners, the vendors that come from all over. You've actually worked over the last couple of years, sort of what I was alluding to as it relates to learnings during the pandemic, to really refine the kind of vendors that are there, et cetera. How did that go?
Yeah. Well, COVID changed everything in every way, shape, or form. And, it actually changed some of the vendors, too. Some of them decided it was time to retire, or new ones actually decided after COVID to start getting out and displaying their work. So it's kind of an interesting shift. Like for the layout, we still keep 5 feet of space between each booth, which before COVID, we didn't put any space in between booths. And then COVID 10 feet, and then we went down to 5. And then for vendor wise, a lot of people say they see a lot of the same artists here every year, and that is true, but we are now at half and half. half new every year and half returning. So it's interesting to see how COVID has changed that. It's actually even helped us adapt a little bit in our entrances, that we may not need quite as many volunteers at all of our 5 entrances, but it still took 188 volunteers this year.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot. You know, in my conversation with Woody Bailey, you know, the number of volunteers that it takes to pull off Cruising the Coast is extraordinary. Of course, when you add that then to what's happening in each of the cities during Cruising the Coast, it may be the largest number of volunteers for any single event that we ever have here in coastal Mississippi. But to have 188 volunteers for a single weekend at an event like Peter Anderson Museum, for those who put on events, you know, that's a monumental effort. And it really pays off, though, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You know, a lot of our vendors tell us that one of the things that we in Mississippi are good at is hospitality. So our volunteers carry that through because that's just who we are around here. So that was really cool to see. And then our sponsors, our stakeholders, our city officials that actually just came out. Some of the aldermen are just a part of the team every year now. They have certain things they do every year as part of the festival. So it's really neat to see this partnership, and, you know, it is focused in Ocean Springs, but we call it a coast-wide event because we have sponsors from everywhere, police officers from everywhere, help from everywhere that's just coming to help us. And for this year, our vendors, we had them as far away as New York, Florida, and as far over as Utah. So covering the whole United States.
That is so cool. I'm always blown away when I go. I didn't get to go this year because I was out of town, but I'm always blown away to go there and walk around, and people genuinely enjoy being there. The quality of the art, you know, I had something I shared the other day talking about artists and how important they were to this community, talking about shops and how important they were to the community. And I was looking real quick to see if I could find the specific quote, but essentially, it's like you know, you really need to understand that a lot of people are definitely going to use Amazon, and that's just I mean, we have to acknowledge that that's the reality. Right. They're going to use Walmart, you know, who drops it right at your door, and they understand that. However, when it comes to buying unique gifts for Christmas, there are so many talented artists here in coastal Mississippi. They could be potters or they may be painters, or there's some really unique approaches to art. There are shops all over coastal Mississippi that helps each of the cities of coastal Mississippi maintain and hold together its special sense of place. But they're there. And I would say no matter which city you go to, Ocean Springs, Bay St. Louis, people think about those. The other cities have their special offerings as well.
Right.
But as a lead up to Christmas, Black Friday, for example, that's coming up there in a big way, I might add.
Yep.
It's a great opportunity to remind people to shop local. Please shop local. But it's not just about you giving something. You're going to get more than you're going to give if you decide you want to shop local. Make your pitch about that.
Right. Well, you know, Peter Anderson Festival kind of starts the holiday shopping for those around town on the coast, and specifically for our small businesses. You know, Peter Anderson, we had almost 400 artists, crafters, food vendors from all over the U.S. in downtown, but then it was surrounded by over 100 locally owned shops, restaurants, art galleries. And this is a time, is the most important time for them. It starts with Peter Anderson and then the Christmas season. Christmas season is really, really huge for our small businesses to be able to get the revenue that they need to sustain for the next year. And it all starts, again, with Peter Anderson. But then, of course, coming up, Black Friday and Small Business Saturday is so important to our small businesses. It used to just be where Small Business Saturday, which was an American Express Main Street, National Main Street campaign that started just to help people remember to shop local, to shop at your local shop. Some of the things that you get in downtown Ocean Springs, you can't get anywhere else. And that's coupled always with the customer service of one-on-one with those people. And then the neat thing is, so Small Business Saturday is a big shopping day for our local businesses here in Ocean Springs. But the cool thing is that some of our shops have really caught on to Black Friday as well. And you know how you see in some of the department stores, Black Friday, people are around the department store building just waiting early in the morning to get into that business? You actually see that in the shops in downtown now on Black Friday. Starting at 5
isn't
a.m.
that cool?
Everybody else.
Well, I would say that the secret is out. that going to downtown, the downtowns across coastal Mississippi to shop local for Christmas is such a unique thing. Hey, you know what? It's also an experience, isn't it? People really get to just go and enjoy a leisurely walk, down a place that's been designed over history to be a walkable community and all that brings to the table. Hey, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber and celebrate not only having just passed the Peter Anderson Festival, which was very successful in spite of the weather, to celebrate shopping local and what that really means to coastal Mississippi and how important that is to coastal Mississippi. We'll see you when we get back. Welcome back to Coast View. I have my friend Cynthia Sutton, the Executive Director of the Ocean Springs Chamber. And I often say this about the chambers. They're on the ground. They have a good sense of what's happening in the communities where they're located. And their roles these days are way beyond sort of your father's chamber, where they focused on meeting and lots of networking. Of course, those things are still there, but they're incredibly focused on community building. Things like the Peter Anderson Festival is a great example of that, but there are many other examples of that. If you think about, Cynthia, the success of your organization over so many years, part of the success of it is really based on the fact that you've got such a great board. You spend a lot of time focusing on getting great board members, a lot of leadership development in that board meeting, giving them the opportunity to acclimate around how merchants require a pulsating economic situation, and you guys are really focused on delivering on that goal. But your board has been incredibly supportive, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's quite amazing. When COVID hit, I think most boards, whether it's chambers, corporations, they really just rolled that board over because they really didn't have a year during COVID to actually make decisions to be really a part of that team. So just like them, we did the same. So we rolled the same board members over into 2021, and several of them are still here in 2022, of course. And it really just gave them that opportunity and chance to really be a part of the community and help make those decisions. We're also a Main Street tourism and marketing arm of the city. So there's so many things that our board members help us with on a daily, weekly basis, the decisions, the activities that we get to do. Recently, we actually helped through Main Street spruce up some areas in downtown, get ready for the Peter Anderson Festival. And out of it, I mean, so many partners came together, Keep Ocean Springs Beautiful, Mississippi Power. We have a board member on our board with Mississippi Power that really it's really interesting just to see how they really just get in there and check out the needs and really just help us pull things off. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have a really good active board that's really involved in the community all over the Gulf Coast. They're all not just from Ocean Springs. We have representatives from Chevron, Ingalls, Mississippi Power, our banks, our hospital system. So we have a lot of folks that really want to be a part of the community, and we're honored that this is a way they get to be a part of it.
You think about the collaboration that's taking place. Of course, every time I talk to Kenny Holloway, he couldn't be more excited about being mayor in the city where he grew up. And you got a great board of aldermen, and then you reach over to organizations like the Walter Anderson Museum of Art, and it's extraordinarily active board, and it's great executive director. You got so much focus by so many leaders. When you bring that number of leaders to the table, who are really not just focused on just going in and sitting at the table and voting, but being actively engaged, being innovative about what you do. That's one of the keys to success for Ocean Springs just in general, isn't it?
It is. You'll see like the holiday season coming up, with the tree lighting, holiday open house. One of our aldermen's going to dress up as a character. During Peter Anderson, several of them helped us with the setup and moving booths and cars. And they're like, are we going to do this year? Are we going to do this? Everybody just kind of knows what they do. And in Ocean Springs, I think we're really unique that way. Just like you said with the mayor and aldermen, they know that they're going to be sitting there making decisions, but they're also event planners. And part of the activities that, as we all know, when you do that kind of stuff, it will generate public space, sense of place, people coming to town, and of course, shopping.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Hey, I ran across a quote the other day by a guy named W.C. Handy. And he was kind of like the father of St. Louis blues. He took traditional blues and mixed it with ragtime music, and so he was famous in that way. As you probably know, I have a musical background and love music, all forms of music. But he had a quote that he said, and here's what it said. It says, "Life is like a trumpet. If you don't put anything into it, you don't get anything out." And I would actually change the word to say, "A chamber is like a trumpet. If you don't put anything into it, you don't get anything out of it." You could say a city is like a trumpet. But the truth is, there's a lot of beautiful music that's being made in places like Ocean Springs. And, whether I'm talking to Mayor Knight in Moss Point or Tish Williams over in Hancock County with what's happening over there, or the mayor of Gulfport or Biloxi, man, there's some great music happening all across coastal Mississippi. And it all comes together right there at the Peter Anderson festival every year, because these artists from all these communities converge, and it is really a coastal Mississippi event. And I really am thrilled for you guys, in spite of the weather, for having a terrific event this year.
Thanks. And I'm glad you said all that, because it's even cool. People don't even realize some of those kind of things, the parts and the pieces from along the whole entire coast that come together to put that on. We even have a whole team of volunteers from Keesler Air Force Base that literally run a whole entrance throughout the entire weekend of the festival. So it's just neat how you see the parts and the pieces from all over that put that event on.
Well, you know this because you pay attention to my show, but I spend a lot of time celebrating the military, the role that they play. It's not just through the base, the CV and Keesler base, but it's literally from Stennis Air Force Base all the way over to Ingalls. You've got to think about the Coast Guard, but the role they play in helping build a better community and contributing to help in the community is truly remarkable. Anyway, listen, Cynthia, it's great to catch up with you. Congratulations on a good festival, and good luck as Black Friday, a week from today, goes into full swing for Ocean Springs. Y'all have a great week, and have a great holiday season. We'll check back in with you.
Thanks, guys.
This has been Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber. Have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.